my Toronto VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1431 of Toronto Mik'ed, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. The Advantaged Investor Podcast from Raymond James Canada. Valuable perspective for Canadian investors who want to remain knowledgeable, informed, and focused on long-term success. And Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Today, making her Toronto Mik'ed debut is Kyree Vibrant. Welcome, Kyree.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
Not to be confused with Kyree. I'm glad I spelled it out phonetically. Vibrant, that's a real name or is that a stage name?
Well, it started out as a stage name many years ago, but I made it real.
It's real. Okay. So good to meet you. Can I share our interesting origin story here before we crack open our cans of fresh craft beer? Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad you're here. We're going to talk about Big Rude Jake.
Yes.
And I got some songs. You're going to call for certain songs. We're going to talk about him. What is the name of your Big Rude Jake documentary?
Well, it's not quite a documentary. It's more like an art performance film. Jake and I made it many years ago. It's called Big Rude Jake, Pursuing the Pearl of Great Price.
And where can somebody see pursue this wonderful film that whose name I'm going to have to write down?
No problem. Well, we're doing our possibly last screening or final screening this Saturday, February 17th at the Super Wonder Gallery.
Okay, so this is dropping on a Friday, and that means that's tomorrow. So
yes.
What location is this?
Super Wonder Gallery, which I don't have. Hold on, I have to look up the actual
Well, you look
address.
it up. I'll tell you though. I'll tell the story.
It's on Bloor Street, and it's near Dufferin.
Okay,
so.
The Dufferin Mall is all you need. Count on us. Do you remember this at all? This jingle? Does this ring any bells with you?
Slightly, yeah.
Like
it is around the corner from the Dufferin Mall.
Yeah, that's why I'm singing it, because I would listen to Blue Jay games on 1430. This is all coming full circle. So we're recording episode 1431. Uh-huh. I just dropped episode 1430 because that's how it goes. It goes in order. And 1430 was all about All Sports Radio 1430 The Fan, which launched in 1992. But before it was All Sports Radio The Fan, it was like the music of your life, but they would air Blue Jay games. And I would tune in to listen to Blue Jay games called by Tom Cheek and Jerry Howarth. And these ads that would air during the Blue Jay game got tattooed on my brain. Like I can recall all these ads. There's CIBC, get us working for you, CIBC. All these ads are stuck in my head. And there was an ad that would air for the Dufferin Mall, and it would go like that. The Dufferin Mall is all you need. Count on us.
Very nice. They had great little jingles back then, boy.
Well, listen, if you want to break in any jingles during this conversation, just feel free to do that.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, so this order story. Okay, so this is back last summer, I think. Mm-hmm. I needed a new pair of shorts is what I think. Like I don't go shopping very often, but once in a while you actually have to buy something. And I needed a new pair of shorts, and I went to Winners in Cloverdale Mall. So I biked to the Cloverdale Mall. Mm-hmm. Shout out to the Cloverdale Mall. And I'm in the Winners and I'm shopping. And then there's a guy who's like, hey, Toronto Mike. And I'm like, hey, like this guy recognized me as Toronto Mike, and he was telling me he loves my show, and we strike up this conversation. And then he goes, oh, my wife has a great film with Big Rude Jake, the late great Big Rude Jake. And that's you, Kyree.
Yeah, that's right. My very outgoing husband, Johnny Kalangas.
Okay, and what does Johnny do before we learn more about you?
Johnny is a filmmaker and he is a digital producer. He's a creative director. He works at Cream Productions in downtown Toronto. Okay. And he does lots of digital stuff and VR and film and television, all kinds of stuff.
Okay, before we learn more about you and talk more about Big Rude Jake and your film, let's crack open our Great Lakes beer.
Alrighty.
Put it in front of the mic.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, you go first. You got a lager there. Okay, amazing. I've got myself my burst. Here we go.
Oh, yours is better than mine.
Well, look, I have a lot of practice doing this. So cheers to you, Kyree.
Cheers to you, Mike.
And your website's KyreeVibrant.com.
That's right.
Okay, people. Kyree is Kyree. Mm-hmm. Vibrant is vibrant.
Yep.
All right. So before we dive into the Big Rude Jake portion here, and I'm excited because I have a bit of a Big Rude Jake blind spot. Like I have a lot to learn about Big Rude Jake. So you're going to educate me, and you're going to really get us all excited to see this film. But tell us a little bit about yourself. Like I read the bio on your website, but now I want to hear from you. Like who the hell are you, Kyree? What have you been up to?
Well, I'm a Toronto-based artist. I am primarily a singer-songwriter. For the last 18 years, I have been the lead singer and songwriter, co-songwriter in a progressive rock band called Half Past Four. And that's kind of my main major love. I have had numerous bands over the years. I used to be a club promoter. I started off as a club promoter and a filmmaker in Toronto. I went on to do many projects with lots of people I'm sure that you've had on this show and know.
Did you ever get that list from your husband? He was going to send you a list of FOTMs. Did you ever get that list?
Yeah, he sent it to me. I don't know. Bob Wegner.
Bob,
you know him?
Say the last name again.
Were you friends with Bob? I don't know. He's just said Bob, and I know a few Bobs.
Yeah, there's a few Bobs. Bob Willett. We got a lot of Bob Elliott.
Great Bob Scott.
Yeah, well, you know what? No, but James B is an FOTM, so that would be one. And do you think James B is famous? When you think of James B, do you think, there's a famous person?
Well, I've known him for almost 40 years. So, yeah, absolutely. He's famous. Absolutely he's famous because he's a fantastic DJ on Jazz FM.
Yeah.
And he's been in a lot of very infamous bands. Like the Look People and the Royal Jelly Orchestra. He's toured everywhere. He's been part of huge things, and he's a really famous, amazing, huge guy who has created huge scenes in Toronto. In fact, I know a lot of my most treasured friends only because I knew him back in the old days, back in the early 90s when we used to do all kinds of stuff together. Yeah.
Okay, so shout out to James B. Do you know this song?
I don't know. It's pretty good, isn't it?
There's a good singer on this. Hold on. So again, Half Past Four.
Yeah, that's my band.
So how long has Half Past Four been doing its thing?
Well, they were together for a few years before I joined, but I joined about 18 years ago. We're going on our 19th, and we're working on our 4th album now.
Really?
Yeah.
And what's the name of this song?
This is called It Strikes You, and it's off of our 2nd album, Good Things.
Okay, let me just hear a little bit of this as I drink my beer. I'm digging it. I dig this vibe.
Cool.
You're cool.
Thanks.
Have you collaborated with James B?
Absolutely, yeah. I was the first singer in the Royal Jelly Orchestra when he first put it together so very many years ago. And I used to tour when he got signed with the MG. We toured Canada together.
You're blowing my mind right now.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so
on one of his first Royal Jelly Orchestra albums, Cocktail Shaken and Stirred, I did Safety Dance.
You know, the songwriter of Safety Dance, also an FOTM. But I don't know if you're
cool.
Ivan Dorocek.
Yeah, neat.
Okay,
Ivan.
so if any other connections come in, if your husband texts you any other names, because
he does. He says Chris Finn.
Okay, yeah, Chris Finn came on with Blair Packham a year ago yesterday.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, funny guy.
Yeah,
funny
he's
guy.
great. I love Chris. He's
Okay.
amazing. Kurt Swinghammer?
Kurt Swinghammer.
Yeah.
Kurt Swinghammer is one of the unsung heroes in this city. Wonderful musician. He biked here, and we had a great chat.
Yeah,
Kurt Swinghammer.
He's great. He's another guy I've known for a long, long time. Incredibly talented artist and musician. Alan Zweig.
Alan Zweig, I think it's Zweig. But
sorry.
Alan came on. He's like the curmudgeon of the TMU, the Toronto Mik'ed universe. Like, I get so many notes. I had Dave Rave on the other day, and we talked all, like, it was just a very deep dive, and I got my notes from Alan Zweig, but he came on with his brother as well. But Teenage Head, apparently we weren't clear enough that Dave Rave was not the lead singer throughout the entire run of Teenage Head, even though I thought we did state that, but this is the notes I get. But I do love that Alan Zweig listens, and I love his passion for accuracy, and I love the notes I get from Alan Zweig. Okay.
Cool. All right. And the last one, he said, maybe Mark Breslin.
Yeah. Okay, founder of Yuck Yucks.
Okay. Yeah.
And
he and I were really good friends. And in fact, I went to go see him speak at the Prosserman JCC the other night with my son. I brought him to see, he was going to tell his life story kind of from a Jewish viewpoint with Ralph Ben-Mergi. And that was a great...
Ralph's here next week.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I love Ralph. I love Ralph too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the best thing about Ralph lives in Hamilton now, and he doesn't like the drive. So he used to come over a lot. He used to come over all the time. And then he stopped coming over, and then he wanted to Zoom in. And I got a note from Ralph. He's like, hey, you haven't invited me on lately. And I said, Ralph, I'm not Zooming with you again. Like, I'm just not doing it. Like, if you drive in, you can sit here and talk to me. And he said, okay, I'll make the drive. So Ralph Ben-Mergi returns next week.
Nice.
I love it. You had any more names to drop? Because
I think that's about it.
I'm digging it. Okay, so what can you tell me? Now I have it correct. This, by the way, I dug that jam, by the way. Very good. So Big Rude Jake, Pursuing the Pearl of Great Price.
That is right. Yes.
And this is you and Big Rude Jake wrote this film. Okay, and this performance is by Big Rude Jake in this thing. So let's assume the listener doesn't know who's this Big Rude Jake. Why is he being rude? Is he a big guy? What's going on? What can you tell us about Big Rude Jake?
Well, Big Rude Jake.
And take your time. I'm listening closely.
Jake was one of the greatest talents Canada has ever seen, in my humble opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinions too. He's an incredible. He sort of coined the term swing punk. He was the guy who was around back in the 90s when the swing era. Remember that swing thing that was happening? It was like a movement.
The revival. The guy from Stray Cats. Right?
Yeah.
Jump, Jive, and Whale.
Yeah.
James B. was big on this.
Absolutely, yeah. It was all we were all in it together. And
like Swingers came out or something.
Swing Dancers.
Yeah, but even the movie Swingers, I feel like might have been a part of this resurgence. Here, so just to kind of warm us up. So I got a bunch of songs from you.
Yeah. Now I'm kind of a Jake purist. Meaning I like his older stuff, so that's mainly what I brought you because I feel like it reflects the movie, which I'm trying to promote. But he's an incredible. He had a wonderful propensity for remembering things. He was an incredible mind, an incredible brain. He was a historian. He's a theologian. He was really well educated. He was a philosophy guy. He would just spout philosophy, and we would just talk for hours on every subject and just talk, and he would come up with all kinds of ideas. And you know those friends, and you probably have a lot of them because of this show, but those friends you just do stuff with them all the time. They're people who, there's people that you hang out with, but there's also people that make stuff with you. And he's the guy. Oh,
like Rob. He's like your Rob Pruce.
Yeah, like he likes to.
I just want to shout Rob out because I know you know Rob.
I've known Rob for a long time too. Just and he's incredibly talented as well. Wonderful guy. So yeah,
but, annoyingly so.
But Jake is just one of those guys that you make stuff with. He's the kind of guy who, you'd be walking down the street, you'd bump into him, and he'd be like, "Hey, I was thinking about this thing. What do you think of this?" And he'd throw some idea out at you and want your feedback, right? And then he'd take your feedback and he'd try it out. He was so open-minded and so brilliant. His music was incredible. People used to pack his shows all the time. And he's an incredible performer, wonderful guitar player. Anyways, he was the best man at my wedding. And he kind of narrated. I had a wedding show. When Johnny and I got married, we are actually down here on the Lakeshore Strip at Casa Mendoza, and Jake was out there with us narrating the whole thing, and it was incredible. And after that, I was like, he's such an incredible guy, an amazing songwriter, but also an incredible storyteller. Between songs, he would go off on tangents and talk about how the song came to be and his reasoning behind it, or just some ideas he'd come up with. And I said, I want to accentuate that. I want to spotlight the stories that you tell between the songs, not just the performance of the songs. So that's sort of the essence of this film, is that it is a performance film with him on stage with his wonderful band playing, but it's also him coming off the stage in dreamscapes, talking to people or at people or with people or just to the camera about his experience in life. And it became sort of about him and his sort of, progression from when he first left his parents' house to become a punk rocker in New York City or in Toronto, and his fascination with the underbelly of Toronto and the down and outs, the rough and the tumble characters of gritty downtown, and his love for Toronto and his love for the big city. And then, and all the different things that he went through mentally and philosophically and spiritually in that time. And it's kind of cool. It's neat. It has animation. It's got green screen. It's got all kinds of effects. And the entire budget for the movie, up until we finished it, because I had to put some extra money into it later, was about $300.
Get out of here.
Everyone just chipped right in.
You can't. This episode's going to cost me more than $300. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay.
Yeah.
So best man at your wedding. I mean, it sounds like you were very, very close to Big Rude Jake.
Absolutely.
So let me just right off the top give you my sincere condolences, because for those who don't know, Big Rude Jake no longer with us, sadly. So
yeah,
passed away in June 2022. That must have been awful. Oh, because far too young.
It was, he was only 57, and he, it took him pretty quick, and none of us believed that it was happening until it happened. And I promised him, it was kind of a deathbed wish, I suppose. Yeah. I told him, promise, not wish, that I would complete the movie, because we kind of finished the movie, but it wasn't quite finished. It needed a lot more work, and we shelved it because we both got busy with families and other things. And Originally I created it with the intent of promoting, like he wanted to use it as a promotional tool, but after a while he sort of changed direction with his music and his life, and he decided that it wasn't really about what he was about anymore. So we shelved it for a long time, but we had put so much blood, sweat, and tears into this movie that I promised him that I'd finish it, so I did.
Have you made any movies in the past?
I made a short film that got into a few film festivals a while back called Meeting Rock. But mainly my love is making music videos, and I've made an enormous amount, and they're all on my website.
Kyree Vibrant.com. Okay, amazing. So I've learned about, and my apologies, I'm not the coolest cat in the room. Like, I mean, even when I met your husband at Cloverdale, I'm like, oh, this guy's cooler than I am. Like, I knew it right away. Okay. So it's like, I'm just learning about 4:30. At least I knew of Big Rude Jake, but I didn't really know a lot about Big Rude Jake. So I'm learning a great deal right now, but just really glad you're here. We're going to play some more music, but I want to let people know. So Big Rude Jake, Pursuing the Pearl of Great Price, which you can see tomorrow, Saturday at what time?
Doors open at 7, and we're going to be showing it about 8 o'clock, I believe.
And that's very close to the Dufferin Mall, okay? So just sing that jingle as you go to Dufferin and Bloor. And what's the name of that venue?
It's called Super Wonder Gallery.
It's a wonderful name. Okay, so I will tell the people. Look, I feel like I'm part of your PR team here. I mean, so I want to tell the people that this film, Big Rude Jake, Pursuing the Pearl of Great Price, it won Best, I hope you're sitting down, Kyree, Best Musical Feature Film at the International Music Video Awards in Budapest. Is that true?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, that's a big deal.
I have the award at home. It's great. It's the shape of a disc, like a record.
Like a
like a vinyl platter.
Sure. Like a laser disc.
A platter.
Did you ever own laser discs?
No, I skipped over laser discs.
Smart. sometimes you make the right call. I always think sometimes I don't really, I just wait till wait something out to see if it's going to stick. And then I realize it doesn't stick and I'm like, dodged another bullet. There's a lot of people out there with like a room full of laser discs, right?
Yeah, I've never really been too into digital. I've always been an analog. I still have a wall of vinyl and it never left my house.
Sure, but when it comes to film, like you need actual film. Like there's a reel of film. Like how are you? You got. What do you?
No, I mean I would love to. I got trained on that. I mean I went to Sheridan College for film, and that was when we used to have 16 millimeter, 8 millimeter.
Right.
We would just be in the Steenbeck, making the films. But yeah, I mean it's a little more easy now with the digital in that way. But music is better analog, in my opinion.
No, I like your opinion. You're here to give us all your opinions. Okay, so. Budapest move over because now we're going to Munich because this film wins Best Musical Feature Film at the Munich Music Video Awards.
Indeed, yes.
Look at that. What kind of award did they give you? What did they give you? What is their trophy?
There was an award, but we didn't end up getting it because if they charge you a lot of money for these things.
So let me understand this, Kyree. Let me understand. You win the award, and if you want the award, you got to send like a COD or whatever. I don't know. You got to send a check for like $350 or something.
I think you can just pay for it on Visa or something.
Okay, I know. You like the analog. I thought I'd bring it back there.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
That's bullshit, by the way. Can I say, if you're going to give me an award, don't charge me for the award.
Yeah, right? But that's how they
does the Oscars do that? Like I won?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they do, and so do the Grammys. I remember a friend of mine won a Grammy, and I went over and saw it, and I was like, oh my God, and they said, yeah, it costs a lot of money. And I was like, really?
So basically, you're winning the right to buy the award.
Yeah, that's how they keep
this is real talk.
The thing happening.
Wow.
They keep the scene happening by charging the artists money for the glory.
The artists are the ones who can least afford to buy that award.
Yep, especially me and my $300 budget.
Because you're not Taylor Swift, right? You don't have a private jet.
No, that's not going to happen for me, but it's okay. I'm happy with what I have.
You're a true artist. Okay. I'm not done yet. A couple more, and then we're going to get back to Big Rude Jake here. But best zero budget feature. It's not zero. It's $300. This is bullshit. Okay, best zero budget feature.
$300
at the WRPN Women's International Film Festival.
Yeah, I was surprised by that one.
Okay, tell me why that one surprised you.
Because it was a women's international festival, and I thought for sure some of the sentiments expressed in the movie were going to be a little bit, I don't know, clashy. Is that a word? I was a little bit worried about submitting it to women's film festivals because they tend to be very,
you got to be more specific now. What are
specific? Well, no, I mean, I'm a woman director, yes, but everything else in the film, I mean, he's, the character of Big Rude Jake, and let's talk about that for a second because he is a character when he goes on stage. He is certainly not himself, right? Like a lot of us are. We go up on the stage and we're characters.
Is this like a persona he assumes when he's on the stage, like Buster Poindexter? Okay.
Yeah, well, sort of, because Big Rude Jake, at one point he was a bit big and perhaps he was kind of bawdy and rude, but I mean, when you met him, he was actually extremely polite and very charismatic and sweet. So he definitely was not rude in real life. So he had a character. So what was my point here? I was talking about...
Well, you wanted to talk about the fact that he wasn't Big Rude Jake when he was, hanging out with you on a Friday night or whatever, having dinner with you. He was Andrew Jacob Hebert.
Well, yeah, never. Well, he kind of abandoned the Andrew part at some point, but his old friends, I'll still call him Andy.
Right.
But he was Jake to everyone.
Okay. And just to finish up, so you were surprised because there's themes in this movie. So when you say there's themes, that's what I want to ask you. So there's themes in this music you thought might not...
Oh, that's what I was getting at. Yeah. Right. So he was a persona. Sorry, thank you for steering me back.
I just remembered.
It's been a long day.
Tell me about it.
So yeah, I mean, I was a little bit surprised about getting that award because, even though I'm a female director, he's the star of the movie and he had pretty girls in the movie. He was talking about women. He was talking very candidly about an ex-girlfriend where he had very strong opinions about, how their relationship evolved and eventually separated them. And it was raw and it was real and it was true, but it was set within the context of his character. So was it real? Was it really real? I don't know.
So are you wondering if they actually watched the film? Like, did the WRPN women...
I don't doubt that they watched it. They probably just liked it because in spite of maybe some, I don't know. You know how people
can
get
I
a
say
little
something?
crazy these days? They're a little bit too crazy.
Okay, but so this is an award you win for being like that with almost no budget. Look at this piece of art you created. Wow, which is amazing, right? So, do you know like what was the limit? Like, because it says best zero budget, and you were like $300 or whatever. But like, was it like you had to make your movie for under $1,000? Do you have any memory of like what was this ceiling you were allowed to spend on a movie in order to be eligible for best zero budget feature?
I didn't know. I mean, most movies are going to be made with like $1 million or something, a few 100,000 at least. I don't know. I mean, a feature film is expensive, but I just have a lot of friends in big places, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, look, I need to meet your friends here. I need some friends in big places too.
Well, listen, this is all within the kind of the framework of what the downtown Toronto scene was like back then.
Well, tell me about the downtown Toronto. So again, just to recap here. So Big Rude Jake, he kind of comes to be, and I guess it's the early 90s, I suppose, is when he
late
hits the
80s,
scene.
early 90s when he hit the scene, and that's when I met him. And he had a wonderful band called the Gentlemen Players, and there's like 3 horn players, and the usual. And they would just blow up every place they went into. It was so much fun. Crazy swing dancers and people going crazy. And it was very punk, though. It was very kind of raw and energetic. And, he and I got to be really good friends because we both had crazy ideas about and we also had a lot of love for downtown Toronto. And we decided to put together a project called Hoity Toity. It was like our little production company. It's just him and I at the Toronto Reference Library looking through microfiches.
Yeah, microfiche. I remember microfiche. Sure.
And we were doing research on downtown Toronto because, it was slowly becoming gentrified, slowly becoming something that we didn't like. And this was before condos, before cell phones, before anything digital. And it sort of, the movie that we made later on, this one, has a lot of scenes downtown that take us back into that because I guess it's like 20 years ago that we made it.
Okay, lots of questions, but now what I'm craving right now is I want you to pick. So we have a bunch of Big Rude Jake songs loaded up because you sent them to me. Could you cherry pick one that we can just listen to now to get a vibe of that early Big Rude Jake that you kind of fell in love with? You can tell me which song I should play, and then I'm going to drink my beer and I'm going to listen and we're going to talk about this.
Okay. Jeez. All the ones that I sent you are my particular favorites, so I love them all very much, but I think that 7th Avenue is the one we should start with because it's a great song.
Okay, this is Big Rude Jake, 7th Avenue.
Top of the world, ma! Wish I was back. Wish I was back with all them cats and tearing it up, man, just like we used to do. Now decked out like the devil's own on butane fumes and bad cologne and fleecing sheep along the avenue. When every wheel had a dame and every dame looked so fine with painted eyes and smoky blue perfume. Well, grab your tailor drapes and your lucky dice, 'cause man, we going out tonight. They waiting for us along the avenue. We could be down at the diner eating red beans and rice. Could be at the Coliseum sipping the champagne on ice. Well, I'm a-telling you, man, there was no better place to be than right then and right there. Instead of next to me, the fine saloons and drinking holes, the marquee lights and burlesque shows that open like a soft nocturnal bloom. And the jazz would fill the air and curl like smoke and lick your ear as it drifted down old 7th Avenue. And I say, take me back. I say, no, take me back, or take me back now. Back to 7th Avenue, take me back now. I say, no, won't you take me back? 'Cause man, we never worked a
All right, Kyree, take me back downtown Toronto or late 80s, early 90s. Like, can you name check other people part of the scene here? You got Big Rude Jake. Who else you got going on?
Oh, well, for me, gosh, it was just an enormous amount of wonderful artists, some of who became very famous and very, very big, and some that, ended up becoming sort of middling stars. But in the early 90s, it was an amazing place, downtown Toronto. It was easy to live downtown. It was easy to, work at kind of some Joe job while you did your art. It was easy to find art galleries and artist-run clothing shops and retro things. So, I mean, it was such a great scene because I could just walk down Queen Street and walk into any place and see 10 people I knew, and it was amazing. So,
like, who you said some made it big? Like, are we talking about like Blue Rodeo? Like, who are we talking about?
Blue Rodeo is definitely part of it. I mean, we used to hang out at this wonderful breakfast place on Bathurst.
I'm not editing this, Kyree, okay? This is
sorry,
not
I should have
fixing
written
this
down.
in post.
Why am I blanking
It'll come
out?
to you
It's
later.
so bad. There's like 10 people listening to this right now going, this is what, come on, Kyree. Anyways, it'll come to me in a second.
It's our favorite breakfast place.
I'm sorry. But Blue Rodeo used to go there, and all the downtown scene used to hang out down there. Where else?
Okay, so I can tell you. So Jim Cuddy's been on this program, and he talks about Handsome Ned, for example.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, all the people who used to hang out at Cameron House and stuff like that. When I think of Handsome Ned, I think of the Cameron.
Sure. But it's interesting because Toronto's changed so much, right? Here we are talking in 2024. Checks his calendar. Yes, it is. Okay. But like, you can't, I don't know how artists even afford to live in the city anymore. Like when you think about the cost to live like in the city, I'm just like, I have these conversations. So Kim Mitchell will talk about how all of Max Webster rented this house and they paid $100 a month each or something, and they could like afford to like be starving artists and still live in the core.
I had my own apartment in 1992, 1993, around there. I had my own apartment on Sherbourne, right across from the Phoenix. And we used to, I was a club kid. I used to work in the clubs. I used to book places. I worked at the Reverb, the Big Bop, for a whole year when they turned the Reverb into a big rock club called Rock 175 because that was the address on Bathurst Street.
Right.
I worked in the Boom Boom Room and the Lizard Lounge and all these different places. I worked in many different capacities in all the clubs. I knew everybody downtown. It was great. And I even had my own jazz lounge called the Vibrant Lounge for almost, I guess like between 8 months and a year. I had that place.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Where was the Vibrant Lounge?
It was above a restaurant called Fabulous Nobodies on Isabella, right at Yonge Street. And it was a big fun-fur covered lounge.
Your husband undersold you. Like, I just want you to know. Like, he was like, Big Roo Jake or whatever. But, come on. You had me at the Vibrant Lounge.
But Jake used to come and visit me all the time. He'd go and he'd be playing in Yorkville or wherever. And he and Michael Johnson, his horn player, they were best friends. And they would come into the Vibrant Lounge after their gigs. And sometimes they'd interrupt gigs. I'd have all kinds of people playing. I'd love to name drop, but I have like... having brain freeze. But anyways, the Bourbon Tabernacle Choir were playing there once. And
Chris Brown, Kate Fenner.
All those guys were playing. It was a crazy show. And they came in after, and there was a huge crowd, and it was a small place. And it was just packed. And they all came through, the whole entire band, they all came through with their horns, and they all set up on the stage, and there's like 400 people on stage, and they all started playing Minnie the Moocher. And it was like the best night of my life. It was like so fun to have all those guys in my place and just having the best time. And those were the days, man. We used to have the best times.
Okay, now I want to play the trailer for your film, which people can still see tomorrow on Saturday.
Yes.
You can still see this thing. What's wrong with you people? It's by the Duffer Mall. It's called Big Rude Jake Pursuing the Pearl of Great Price. Here is a trailer.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Big Rude Jake.
And he says there will
Very important clients in the club tonight. I just want a nice, clean show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Well, in that gospel congregation, there's a holy roller preacher who looks so fine and handsome when he speaks the word of God. And when he gets into reeling, every mother, dame, and maiden kind of gets a funny feeling like they're all tied up in knots. Now stepping out of the mud, down on the felt and blue.
All right, no problem. We'll keep it as clean as a daisy from now on.
Stepping out on the
Okay, wow. Okay.
Exciting.
No, I'm all hyped up here. Okay. So Big Rude, though, similar to Blue Rodeo, but I remember, and Bourbon Tabernacle Choir, I think, but leaves Toronto, right? So Big Rude Jake goes to New York.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about, like, I think he goes to Brooklyn and signs a record deal with Roadrunner Records here. But tell me a little bit about, Big Rude Jake bolting the T-Dot here.
Well, I mean, he had great ambition and he was always hungry for gigs and always trying to come up with new things so that he could, push his band forward. And his band was amazing. So they went down and they all lived together in New York. And I don't know how well it went. I mean, I wasn't there, but I did hear a lot of the stories. I think there was some good times and there was some bad times. And there's some very nice in-between times. I think they did a lot of great. I mean, I know he also did a lot of touring over in Europe and stuff like that. But when they were in New York, I think they did their best down there. But I think that's when they kind of, I don't know if they broke up completely, but after that, I think he was strongly considering having a solo career. So I don't know what happened down there, but that's for maybe Michael Johnson or someone else if you want to pull them onto the.
Okay, so tell me now. Let's get specific about your relationship with Big Rude Jake and making this movie. So
Yes.
like, give me the nuts and bolts here. Like, Big Rude Jake wrote this thing, and then you helped him make it. Like, when was this film? Like, just educate me there.
Okay, so we made the film in 2000. It was the end of 2004. It was just after our wedding, actually. I called him up and I said, Jake, someone ought to make a movie about you. And he said, oh, yeah. All right. Well, who's that going to be? I said, you know what, Jake? Fuck, I'm going to make it. I'm just going to make the damn film. So we're going to get together. So when are you? Okay. All right. Come on over then. So I went over and we went on one of our long walks and talks. You know how you do that? You just walk and you start talking and the ideas start percolating.
Sure.
I told him I wanted to start writing scenes, sort of like the ones that the stories that he told between the songs. And so we would walk and we'd talk, we'd come up with all these ideas, and then he'd go home and he'd furiously write. And then he'd send me some copy and say, what do you think? And then I'd say, okay, well, I think you should take this out. I think you should put this in. And then we kind of went back and forth. And we got about, I can't remember how many vignettes there are in the movie, but I think there might be about 6 or 7. And we had these stories and he wrote them out and then he memorized them. Like I said before, he had an incredible mind for memorization. He memorized every single word on these pages that he wrote, and they were long. And then, I came up with everything else. Basically, I got everybody. I got the place. I got and I got Jake, and we rehearsed it. And then we would go in and we'd do it. And sometimes we would have a whole audience full of people, and other times we would just have 1 or 2. And we recorded it at the Funhouse. And the Funhouse. Well, I mean, we had a few other locations, but the Funhouse was the main thing. Now, the Funhouse was a nightclub that was on top of what is now the Shoppers Drug Mart on the corner of Queen and Ryerson, 1 street east of Bathurst. And it was a great club. It was a big club, and the club owner loved Jake, and so he gave it to us for free. In fact, he fed everyone too for free. It was amazing.
Well, that's how you keep your budget to $300. You got to get free food. You got to get everything's got to be free. What is what did you spend that $300 on? I want to see the line item.
I think I gave it to Francois and Terry. They were the green screen guys. I think that's
that's wild to make a movie and you just got to pay the green screen guys.
Yeah, but they had an amazing studio and they were amazing. They were so great.
I feel like I saw on Facebook yesterday that James B is looking for a studio to do some green screen stuff. Like I was like,
I know, but they moved to BC ages ago. He knew them. He was friends with them.
Right.
He was friends with everybody I knew. Oh, he still is. I mean, sorry.
You know, absolutely. James B is still a going concern. Okay.
In fact, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be in his new movie.
Okay, you know what? I feel like he told me once I was going to be in one of his movies. This is what I think he told me. But then, like, it's like, I'm not going to follow up. But he's like, I feel like he might have called me up or something, and he had this idea for me to be in this movie. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, I've never been in a movie. And nothing happened. So,
well, you got to remind him he's a busy guy.
He's very famous. That's
a
problem.
Beautiful women around him, and it's hard to see him through all the.
What is it?
women.
So, what is his? Because he does always have a lot of young, beautiful women around him. What does he have? Is animal magnetism? James
come on,
B.
you've met him. He's the funnest guy on the planet. That's why.
Wow, wild times. Hey, speaking of people like. Speaking of FOTMs, we didn't name drop her, but I'm just gonna ask you about Melly Fresh. Like, so. I know I was reading about 4:30. Okay, your progressive rock band.
Yeah.
Okay, but you do. It says on your official bio on your own personal website, Kyree, it says you collaborate on EDM music projects with Play Records. Yes. Are you still doing that? What can you share with us? I found Melanie Melody to be a fascinating guest.
If you go on my website, one of the tabs is Melly Fresh and Pinky Skylark.
Okay,
and Pinky Skylark is my pseudonym.
Really? I gotta write that down.
Kyree Vibrant had as a pseudonym.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say Kyree Vibrant doesn't need a pseudonym, but okay.
Well, actually James named me,
Okay, you know what that means? That's a sense of ownership there. I feel like we're drilling in here now. Okay. You name somebody.
Not. I don't think he'd want to own me, believe me. It was back in the old days. He used to run a club on Queen Street called the Beehive, remember?
Of course. Well, listen.
I was a singing and dancing waitress back then at the Beehive.
Oh, let me see.
I had bright pink
I thought
hair.
I recognized you from somewhere here. My goodness gracious. Any thoughts on the whole Deadmau5 thing? I feel like that's the big controversial thing going on there with Play Records.
I don't think it's controversial anymore. It was at one point. But yeah, Melanie discovered Deadmau5. She invited him to her house to live there when he was just a kid in Niagara Falls. And I remember going out for drinks with him, and he was like this amazingly talented kid from Niagara Falls. And they made a bunch of music together, and then he went off and got signed to some... deservedly so. He is an incredible talent.
Like, did he outgrow Play Records? Like, it's just basically...
Yeah, basically. I think that's what happened. But he didn't do it in such a nice way. He could have called her and said, I'm getting signed to someone else. But instead, he just kind of, a lawyer called her or something. I think that was the...
That's bullshit.
Yeah, it was weird.
Have you ever collaborated with Deadmau5?
No, I've never... no.
There was never overlap there in the Play Records catalog.
No, Melanie collaborated with him, and they did a lot of great stuff together.
I'm now going to let the listenership know that not only those, I think I named like 3 awards that were won by Big Rude Jake pursuing the Pearl of Great Price, but you were a finalist for Best Music Feature at the Rome Music Video Film Festival.
Yes, it's true.
Who beat you? Do you remember?
I have no idea.
Well, fuck them, okay? I feel like that's bullshit. Okay?
What's Rome?
When in Rome. Okay, who knows what's going to go down there. Would you mind cherry picking another Big Rude Jake song that I could play? I want to play another one.
Well, one of his most beloved songs that everyone loves to sing along with is his double entendre song called... well, it's not really double entendre. He has another one that's really great that I didn't put on the list. Never mind. I'm just talking too much. But it's Queer
It's
for
a
Cat.
podcast. You're supposed Queer for Cat. Okay, so I was hoping you'd pick this. Do you want to like your mic is open during this? Did you want to sing along or whatever? Maybe I'll play it and see what mood you're in.
No.
How much beer? I mean, see how much beer you've consumed so far. By the way, how is your Great Lakes Brewery lager?
It is a fine brew. It's absolutely delicious. I'm going to continue to drink this.
And you can bring some home with you. So I have a
thanks.
pack of Great Lakes beer that you're bringing home to you.
Wow.
And then my good
you.
friend I met at the Winners at Cloverdale Mall, Johnny, right? Johnny. Johnny, he can have a beer as well. Bring it home to him. Tell him this is courtesy of Toronto Mike.
We're going to enjoy that on our porch in the warm weather when it finally gets warm out.
It was warm last week,
Come
okay?
on, it's blizzard today. What happened? I was like, what?
Well, listen, I'm sarcastically, I went on Twitter to say, It snows in Toronto in February, and somebody like replied back like I wasn't being like funny with like, are you surprised or something? And I was like, that's the fucking joke. Like, it's Toronto. I've been here for 5 decades, and it always snows in February.
It'll snow well into April like it always does. Get over it.
Right, and you know, just be glad it's not going to snow into May. Okay, just appreciate that fact. Okay, so I'm gonna before I click play. Do you and Johnny enjoy Italian food? Be honest with me. If you don't like Italian food, just tell me.
I love Italian food. When we were in Rome last summer, we ate an enormous amount of Italian food, and it was delicious.
Okay, well, if you want to recapture that Rome experience, I've been to Rome too. Just wanted to brag.
Me too.
I've also been to Rome. But the closest thing you'll get to authentic Italian food from Italy is Palma Pasta. They have locations in Mississauga and Oakville. I know you're a West End woman, so it's not very far for you. Palmapasta.com. They're going to feed us at TMLX 15 on June 27 from 6 to 9 p.m. Kyree, you and John, he wants to be Johnny. Does he want to be Johnny?
He's Johnny.
Johnny, who's Johnny? He said and smiled in his special way. Who's Johnny? Okay, well, was that on the Short Circuit soundtrack?
You know what? I think it was.
Yes, Johnny 5, right?
Yeah.
And did you know Fisher Stevens is not of South Asian descent?
No.
I'm telling you now, Kyree.
Oh, the 80s.
I'm glad you're sitting down.
Oh, the 80s.
I just saw him in Succession. Okay, so you and Johnny should come to TMLX 15 on June 27. It's from 6 to 9 p.m. at Great Lakes Brewery in Southern Etobicoke. Palma Pasta is going to feed you, and Great Lakes will give you your first beer on the house, and there could be other surprises in store. But I'm actually going to send you home with a large, it's frozen, it's in my freezer, so this box will be full. I just had a guy here, Tim Haffey, and I told him I had I had a lasagna for him in my freezer, and he picks up this red box and he goes, "It's empty." I'm like, I just said it's in my freezer. I'm going to put it in the box before you leave, and I'm going to do that for you, Kyree.
Wow, that's exciting. Thank you.
I feel very like a giving man in Monty Hall here. Okay.
I love it.
Ridley Funeral Home has sent over a measuring tape for you, Kyree. You can do.
I can measure my casket. Excellent.
Do you know 80% of guests make that exact same joke? I expected better from you, Kyree.
No,
That's the obvious joke.
Damn it.
Think harder next time, please.
All right, I'm
please.
sorry about that. It's only in inches. What's this?
Is that true?
Oh, no, wait. Okay, never
Come on,
mind.
Kyree.
You had
Put
to
on the
flip it over.
glasses.
Yeah, I really do have to put on my
I'm
glasses.
having trouble lately, Kyree. I don't know how old
do you
you
get-
are, but I am...
I'm very old.
Like, I actually had... Like, before I left, because I work for myself now, but before I left my corporate gig, I decided to bleed out the benefit plan I had with them. So I got glasses because it was covered by this plan. And now if I get glasses, I got to pay for it out of pocket. Why doesn't OHIP cover my optometry? Anyway, that's another
That's
topic.
a very good point.
Thank you. Full of good points, Kyree. Stick around a bit, you're going to see. But the fact is I have these glasses, and I got these 5 years ago or something, but I never wear them. And lately, especially as the night progresses, like, so now like as the night gets later, I'm unable to focus on things. Like, I know I'm going to play, what am I playing? Queer for Cat?
Yeah, Queer for Cat. You got to get computer glasses. That's what I have.
Oh my goodness. Tell me more. Like, what is this? You get this at like
They have like a blue lens or whatever to stop the glare, and then you can actually see the because like glasses
there is
usually,
glare coming at me, and the lighting's shit down here, and there's glare coming, and it's Queer for Cat. I'm gonna play Queer for Cat, but it could be Queer for Kim. Like, I don't know exactly.
It could be that too. You never know.
Is that a Big Rude Jake song?
What?
Okay,
Queer for Kim?
Queer for
Probably.
Kim.
You never know.
Okay,
Depended on how drunk he was when he sang it.
So we're gonna play this, and then I have some more Big Rude Jake questions, and I want to tell you that if you and Johnny want some investment advice, like I don't know if you're doing your own investments or if you have a guy or a gal. Okay, this is important.
Assuming
Kyree.
we have money to invest.
Well, okay, let me a very, very personal question. Do you rent or do you own?
We own.
Okay, can I tell you something? You're fucking rich. Okay, if you own anything in this city, you're a rich woman.
We were very, very lucky because we bought before everything went crazy.
How long ago did you buy?
20 years ago.
Okay, so your house is tripled, maybe quadrupled in value.
Yepers.
All right. Well, they take the money you get there, and you go to the Advantaged Investor podcast from Raymond James Canada, and you pick up a tip or two. This is good best practices and educational content that'll help you out. So hosted by FOTM Chris Cooksey, the Advantaged Investor podcast from Raymond James Canada. You got it, Kyree?
I got it. Thank you for that wonderful advice.
And last but not least, because I'm the advice man here, recyclemyelectronics.ca. I don't know if you have a drawer full of old cables or if you have old devices. I know you're going to throw that microphone in the garbage here. So you have old, electronics. Don't throw it in the garbage. The chemicals end up in our landfill. That sucks. Go to recyclemyelectronics.ca.
I love it.
So you know what you're going to do. And don't throw out that microphone. It still functions.
Sorry.
And I don't have big bucks like you, $300 for a movie.
Waving my arms around and sorry about that.
My goodness gracious. Okay, let me get to Queer for Cat.
Enjoy.
So now what exactly do you want me to do here?
I stayed up late last Saturday night and I finally made it home about 3. And oh my Lord, when I got to the door, well, what did you think I'd see? With a hair up fine and a scoop neckline and a red dress busting at the seams. With the music slow and the lights down low, I saw my girl with the girl of my dreams. Yeah, my gal is Quill for Cat, she's Quill for Cat, and that's a fact. She likes them tall and slim and stacked. And she likes it that, I like it that, she likes it like that. She says, let's go swinging. Let's paint the town, you and me. Kitty makes 3, ain't no doubt about it, we sure get around.
Okay. Do you have any fun facts or information about like this song, like what album it appears on? Any insight?
Well, I know it's about him and his lesbian girlfriend, which may or may not be true.
It sounds like it's about him and his lesbian girlfriend.
I don't know. I just know it was the biggest song. Everybody loved it when he played it live. Everyone's like, yeah, dude, Queer for Cat. And that's the only one anyone ever wanted to hear until they heard the rest of them, which are all equally awesome.
Well, one thing I like to do when there's an artist coming on that's, not Blue Rodeo or whatever is I like to see most viewed videos on YouTube. And like I just sort YouTube by the artist's name and most viewed videos. And this is a big one. Absolutely. And also we played Swing Baby. That's number 1. And then I was trying to dig in. It's like, it was like a college radio hit.
Oh, well, I believe it was Swing Baby that got ripped off. Some other fella put that out as if it was his and didn't credit Big Rude Jake. And Jake was pretty furious about it. And I have no idea what was done about it, but I haven't heard about it since. So perhaps he got some, I don't know. I don't know the end story of it, but I know that Swing Baby, some guy ripped it off. People do that. It's weird.
It sucks because it's hard enough to be an artist, and if you're getting I just read an article about Kevin Hearn. He thought he was buying art from like an indigenous artist, and it turned out it was like a forgery, and how he became like a detective to kind of figure out who's behind this. But it's tough enough out there to not to deal with like.
Well, someone ripped off James B. at one just recently. Who's the guy who just did the halftime show at the Super Bowl?
You know what? I actually do know exactly. His name's Usher.
Yeah.
There's a big hit by Usher because my wife loves this song, but the opening part is ripped off from a James B. song. I think it was a cover of
Tragically Hip.
No, I think it's Crash Test Dummies. Like, I think it's a cover. Maybe I'm wrong. James, I'm going to call him up and ask him. But I think it's a cover of Superman's song, right? Superman never made any money. I think that's a James B. cover of that includes this horn section that Usher rips off and drops in front of that song.
I thought it was. I thought it was the other one. I thought it was "Courage" by Tragically Hip.
Couldn't come at a worse time. Did you ever meet Gord Downey?
I've never met him, no.
Okay, now you never will, by the way. He's shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. Okay.
He's hanging out with Jake in the clouds.
Okay, I like to think, do you believe that to be true, or is that just something nice?
I do not believe that at all to be true.
No, neither do I. Like, I always think, he's, Big Rude Jake is listening to us now, but it's like, I don't actually believe that. It's just, that's a nice sentiment.
Who the hell wants to hang out on a cloud? What is that?
And really, like, are you weightless? You know what? I like It's a Wonderful Life. because I just love the movie. It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, me too.
But the angels in heaven, they send down, I don't know if that's heaven or not, but the angels up there send down Clarence to get his wings or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was watching it with my mom. My mom is here, and my mom's kind of sick of hearing about this loudmouth atheist son of hers or whatever, because she was raised as Catholic or whatever. And then she's like, "Oh, you like a movie about angels and this?" And I'm like, "Well, Mom, it's a fucking movie. Like, I don't think this is a documentary about attaboy Clarence." But I do tear up every time he says attaboy Clarence at the end.
Yeah.
So, okay, so hopefully Big Rude Jake.
Fantastic movie. One of my favorites. I
Okay.
still have it on VHS. That's how much I love it.
Because you don't like modern distribution of media.
Analog.
Right. And even though your husband is a digital something or other, you're like, fuck digital. Like, give me the...
Well, my husband isn't digital.
Well, is your husband AI? I met him, though.
Yes, you did. So you know he's not AI. Oh,
And he
could have
seemed
been.
really nice. But you know what? I can't tell if he was nice or if he was just... When somebody meets me in the wild and is like, I love your podcast, and they start talking about my podcast, I just assume they're nice because they like my podcast. Like, they could be a big fucking asshole, but if you just tell me you like my podcast, I think, oh, what a nice guy. You know what I mean?
No, I guarantee you, my husband likes the podcast. He loves listening to podcasts, and if he likes you,
He likes
the
it when
podcast.
James B comes over. Is the bottom line here. Okay, I love
He likes
all
it.
of this. So, Big Rude Jake.
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to put a bow on this. So, Big Rude Jake, do you feel? Well, one question. I have a few questions. One is that when he passes away, he dies of cancer, right?
Yes.
And you mentioned only 59 years old. This is only a couple years, less than a couple years
I
ago.
believe he's only 57.
Okay,
they say 59 somewhere on.
Yeah, you know what?
online, but
On
I don't think
Wikipedia, they say 59. But as I learned from Dave Thomas, Wikipedia is not always right with these things. So 57, you think?
I think so.
Even worse. Okay. Did he? What happened to the album he was working on at the time of his death? Like, do you know the Jackhammer sessions? Do you know? Do you have any insight into what has become of that?
I'm not entirely certain, to be honest. I mean, he was always working on a whole bunch of stuff, but if he had another recording coming out, I'm sure that his wife is on that, and whoever he was working on it with. But yeah, he got into quite a few different musical directions after his original, Gentleman Players sort of era. And then a couple of albums after that, he got into a lot of spiritual stuff. He was into...
Buddhism, right?
He was a Buddhist, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So not a happy atheist like us. He's got Buddhism there. Okay.
Well, he had I think his background was not Amish but Mennonite.
Yeah.
So he had a few different areas or whatever, I guess, areas of spirituality kind of in his background, and he's sort of riveted through a few of them to try to find himself, so he was really into Buddhism for a while, but he was into spirituality in general.
Absolutely. So Big Rude Jake pursuing the Pearl of Great Price. What is the plan, like the future for that film? Like, are you looking to have it, I don't know, available on Hollywood Suites or Crave or something? Like,
Yeah.
What is the plan here?
Yeah, well, Johnny's also a filmmaker and has a few films, and we have an agent, and we're shopping it around to screeners right now. So hopefully it will be on the To Be Near You. Who knows? We're hoping.
Well, I can send it to my buddy at Hollywood Suites if you like.
That'd be great.
David Kynes.
I definitely love to put it on as many screeners as possible, so people all over the place who love Jake and all areas of the world can have access to it, because it would be nice if people watched it.
And Kynes is a big Toronto music fan. Like, I feel like he'd get the importance of this. So we could
Thanks.
totally.
That would be lovely.
I didn't say I could close the fucking deal here. I'm just going to do the intro here. Johnny, the other Johnny song, I know we talked about who's Johnny, but I got to say that Fine Young Cannibals Johnny is fun to sing too.
Johnny.
We're worried. Because it's got that falsetto, right? Like, I can't even pretend to.
4:30 has a song called Johnny. It's not about my husband.
Who's it about? John McEnroe?
Probably. I have no idea. The other guys in my band are Russians, and when I came into the band, a lot of their songs were in Russian, and we translated them into English. And Johnny was one of the first songs that they translated for me.
Okay, that's a fun fact right there. Please tell me what's next for you. I mean, this thing sounds like it was made a long time ago, and you just finished it up. Like, am I right? So,
right.
Is there another project? I know you probably have a lot of things on the go, but is there anything coming up that we should be looking out for?
Well, right now I'm editing a movie, a feature film for a friend of mine named Chris Mins. He likes to go by Dr. Mins. He is an incredible.
Is he a medical doctor?
No.
Well, then you can't go by Dr. Mins. Come on.
Well, yeah, he can.
It's like Dr.
Because he's an
Snuggles?
artist. Artists can do anything. He's a wonderful visual artist. He's also a musician. He's had an incredible history of music, doing all kinds of crazy music. He is a really wacky, off the wall, wild, amazing guy, and he is also a filmmaker. So he made a film, and I'm the editor of the film. It's called The Rise and Fall of Dorian Y, and it's a wackadoodle, amazing, funny film. And I'm getting into the kind of end game of finishing that up. And my big project for this year, I think, is just getting our album out. We're going to be recording in the late spring, and then hopefully doing some music videos and playing a lot live with my band. It's all about music.
Kyree, I'm all about Big Rude Jake right now. Like, I'm gonna dive in. I feel like I missed out on Big Rude Jake, and that was a cool. You're right. That was a big, cool scene downtown Toronto, and at a time when artists could afford to live in this city. And it kind of makes me like nostalgic for this period in the city's history, which feels so long gone now, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was a real master of that. He had so many amazing things to say about the city, and it's really inside of all of his music. If you just put on a pair of headphones and listen to a few of his earlier albums, you really get a feel for it.
And other than Big Rude Jake and music that you're creating, like, what would you listen to? I don't know if you go for a run or if you just go for a walk or whatever. But if you're going to put on music, like, what kind of music does Kyree listen to?
Oh my God. I'd listen to all kinds of different music. I can listen to anything from wacky lounge music and moog music to jazz, to progressive rock, to Styx. I listen to a lot, no, not really, but I listen to a lot. I've always had a passion for Canadian music. So
you know who the lead singer of Styx is right now?
Yeah, it's Gowan.
Right, I can. He's probably by the Scarborough Bluffs right now. So shout out to FOTM Lawrence Gowan. Kyree, I enjoyed this chat about Big Rude Jake. I hope your film finds some streams so more people can see it.
Thank you. I'll get it into people's faces at some point. It's in some ways, by hook or by crook, I will. And hopefully if any of you are downtown on Saturday night and you want to come see this film, it's a great way to start your evening. Just come by and see it. It's only 75 minutes, and it's well worth your time. And
that brings us to the end of our 1,431st show.
Wait, Mimi's. That was the name of the breakfast place.
I knew it would come to you. Mimi's. I feel like I just read about Mimi's. I mean,
she was incredible. Force of nature.
Did she just pass away?
Oh, she passed away quite a few years ago.
Did she just pass away quite a few years ago?
Yeah, she did. Just quite a few years ago. She was wonderful, and her blintzes were second to none.
Well, somebody passed away, damn it. If it wasn't Mimi.
Someone
passed away.
Somebody.
Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Toronto Mik'ed. So in addition to going to Kyree Vibrant.com, how can we follow you, Kyree, on social media?
Well, I guess I don't really. I mean, I'm on.
You don't have to be on social.
I'm on Instagram a little bit, but
okay, what's your Instagram handle? Let's give them something. God,
I don't even know.
Did you know that we were going to record today? Tell me
I'm ill-prepared.
I feel like this is what I want to talk about, okay? It's like, this is when the good stuff comes out. Honestly, like, so what was your day like today? What was your day like? Like I feel like I just feel like you're done, the day's done, and you're done. You're just zonked, and you're like, oh, I got to fucking talk to this guy for now. I enjoy the chat, don't get me wrong. But it feels like
I should have taken a day off, go to a spa, then I would have had all these
what did you do all day?
Oh, I work. Yeah,
you did a real job, right?
I did a real job that shall not be identified.
You don't have
it's
to.
A real job.
You don't have to.
And I worked. It was a long day, and I have my son is sick. Unfortunately, he's a head cold, and he's missing his first, like, what do you call it? It's not a prom, but it's like a semi-formal.
I missed all my semi-formals, okay? Tell him. And look at how he turned out, okay. So your son's missing his semi-formal because he's unwell.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's
but,
all right. He'll survive. He can't
no
stand
wonder
it.
you're so
He doesn't
frazzled.
like modern music at all, so
No.
he'll probably hate it anyway.
Much love to all who made this possible. That's Great Lakes Brewery. That's Palma Pasta. That's Recycle My Electronics. That's Raymond James Canada. And Ridley Funeral Home. See you all tomorrow when my special guest is Jesse Hirsch, who's making his in-studio debut. Looking forward to that. See you all then.